Hello, ho, ho, everybody. I hope you all had a good Christmas and that you're looking forward to the new year. Now, that is the theme of today's episode. Today is a special version. It's themed, it's relevant. I touched base with Branislav once again, so it's good for me to catch up with him. We focus primarily on New Year's resolutions, their significance, and how you can actually make New Year's resolutions which rarely produce good results, how you can make it work for you. So it's quite an information heavy podcast, but I hope you can pick up some useful advice from it. And I hope you're looking forward to the new year with a certain degree of optimism and hope, not with delusion that life's going to go back to pre-COVID and you'll be sitting on the beaches in wherever your fantasy island is by June, because I think that's wishful thinking. I think that's dangerous. It's going to lull you into a false sense of happiness, and then it's going to bring a lot of disappointment. So I think you need to take the new year with a certain degree of realism. The corona still is ongoing. The new year I don't think is going to be much different, but that doesn't mean that we need to be depressed and miserable. It just means you have to be a little bit more grateful that you have your health, your wealth, you have somewhere to sleep at night, you have people around you who care about you, you've got hobbies and activities that you enjoy. Now some of them may be curtailed, but overall you need to be looking on the brighter things, because there's nothing but doom and gloom everywhere we look. And going into the new year, if you're already operating at 5% happiness, it's not going to get much better. So I hope some of you have a measure of optimism and positive thinking and can hold your head up going into the new year, that you will do your best to maximize the time you have to benefit yourself in a variety of ways, and not to fall prey to laziness and to despondency and to a belief, and it's sort of a nihilistic belief that nothing really matters, so you may as well waste away the few weeks. Say you're still maybe claiming PUP, or you're working overtime and you see people sitting at home making as much, or maybe pulling scams and making more than your work than you make while you're at work. That can be very difficult. It can be very unfair for the people who are working. So I encourage you not to get bogged down in depressive thoughts and how things are unfair. Make the most of it. Make the most of this podcast, and I hope there's something there for you. So once again, Merry Christmas. I wish you a very, very happy New Year. Enjoy your celebrations, whatever you get up to. I expect it's going to be a fairly dumbed down version of what you were planning for your 2021, but nevertheless, make the most of it, enjoy it, and Happy New Year, guys. Hello.
Hey Tim, can you hear me?
Hello, Brand.
Hello, my friend.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Just finished work and got ready for our second podcast together. How you been?
I'm very good. No, I am very good. I'm much better now for seeing you. It's the first time I've seen you since you moved away from me. So
Since November 1st, it's good to see you again. And how's the sound? Because I'm recording first time on my new microphone. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, man, I can hear you perfectly. Like, I was wondering the same about myself, because I got got a little upgrade for Christmas. We got the microphone arms. We got an all-in-case pop killer.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
The new blue. Are you have the blue ice? Do you?
No, I have it's Yeti.
Oh, the Yeti. Yeah. Very good. Very good. So, how was Norway?
Norway is great. Second time, for the second time in Norway. First time when I was there, wasn't really ready, mentally, physically. So now you basically knew my plans. The past couple of months. It felt like the right thing to do, and I had a lot of contacts in Norway, and always had tremendous respect for Norway and for my friends in Norway. So I took a small risk by coming back. I didn't know exactly what to expect, but so far it's been going in the right direction. I have a lot of support from my colleagues there as well, work-wise, and a lot of good friends, and I'm really happy to be back.
Nice.
Although I miss you and I miss Ireland.
What do you miss about Ireland?
Well, I miss mostly our talks
Yeah.
and planning, and I just can't wait for the things to go back to normal so we can teach another seminar and get this lovely group of people again together, and that beautiful atmosphere that we created the first time, and
Mm.
just to keep doing that, because it seems to be the right thing to do and to help other people in the process,
Mm.
our plans and what we started to create.
Mm. Yeah. The the plans now as well. It mightn't be as long as we think it could be. I'm hoping. I'm hoping with all this the I don't know, vaccine promises, and I think people are getting over excited with the vaccines. I think a good vaccine could potentially be wiped out by one powerful mutation. So I don't know when we'll may get another opportunity to get back going where what we had, but I hope it's not too long, man.
I
Is there
hope so
much
too.
is there much paranoia about the COVID in Norway?
Well, not at all. So far things are going great here. When I arrived in Norway, no one was talking about face masks in the smaller cities. It was only kind of mandatory, I guess, in Oslo when you used public transportation, and that was a huge relief for me, because we've been through a lot in Ireland
Mm.
with the whole lockdowns and very strict procedures. Although those procedures and guidelines, they differed from one country to another, so this was very confusing for me, because it's almost like a completely different world here. We only had to wear face masks as an employees of the big shopping malls, and it was just recently on after Black Friday, not even for Black Friday, only for Christmas shopping, and we couldn't. So they were kind of a free will for the customers to choose whether they're going to wear them or not. So it's a completely different approach to COVID, and they have, as far as I know, less than 500 deaths
Okay.
since the beginning of the pandemic.
Whoa.
So whatever they're doing it the right way. So I'm
Like,
not really sure what is different. I wouldn't be confident to talk about it, but it's a completely different world when it comes to COVID.
well, one thing they might be doing is categorizing the deaths correctly, because we know that's been a bit of an issue.
Could be, could
But
be.
what are you doing so at the minute? You're doing security, is it?
No, I'm working in a shopping center, just helping out with COVID regulations, and
Okay.
kind of COVID officer if there's something like that. It's a kind of a semi-official title when you translate it from Norwegian. So all kinds of tasks related to ensuring the safety of people and sanitizing the. Oh, this forgot English words for that. They have some stuff that it's basically has to be maintained
Yeah.
in shopping centers because of the COVID regulations. And I'm actually finishing this contract in 2 days, and I'm applying for a job at a psychiatric warden in one of the biggest hospitals, as far as I know. And I think
Excellent.
there's a good chance I will get a job there. So I'm going to be working with the patients and helping them. And plus, I'm hoping to have plenty of time to study and learn Norwegian, and also write my own. You know how I'm passionate about writing and teaching. So
Yeah.
so far I haven't had enough time to do it, but I'm hoping to do that from the beginning of January
Oh
onwards.
man, that would be excellent. Now, if you got into that psychiatric ward job, is that kind of like as an orderly?
Well, it's at the beginning, obviously my language isn't as good as my English,
Hmm.
for example, but so I assume at the beginning, at least couple of months, it would be some task of just keeping an eye on patients and watching over them, so they don't do anything harmful to themselves or to other people. Because of my background as psychologist, but also as my long-term experience as a security officer, so it would be something combined. Plus, I would need to get my certificates and diplomas. What is the word in English that I'm looking for? Nostrification.
Qualifications.
Yeah, just to uh, take them through the Norwegian system of grading and stuff like that, so
Hmm.
they can be translated, and to see what they'll accept or not. So I'm kind of waiting to get my master's done from UCC, and that will be equivalent in Norway, I'm sure, because this is one of the best colleges we have in Europe.
So that's why you wanted the mental health cert sent over to you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. And that isn't, is that enough to get you the job, or do you really need the UCC masters to be sent over?
no, I probably can get a job, but it's probably going to be more like a security type of job at
Yeah.
the beginning without masters. But for me, it's very important to be inside the circle,
Mm-hmm.
if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
when they see my work ethic, when they see the effort that I'm putting in
Yeah.
every day, improving the language and also getting the masters done, I'm also modest when it comes to that. I am well aware that I need to prove
Mm,
myself. Why should I give a one of the best jobs or the most wanted jobs to a
mm,
complete stranger who just arrived? So I'm willing to go through this initiation period and proving myself at the time who I claim to be.
mm. And so outside of work at the minute, are you creating any content?
I I tried, but I had very long shifts,
Mm-hmm.
10 hours, 11 hours. Plus, I didn't have enough time to train because my shifts were from 10 in the morning until 8 or 9 or 10 in the evening. So I'm kind of on a semi-survival mode, just eating healthy and working a lot. And from January, I'll be that's kind of my goal: 1 hour exposure to Norwegian language every day, which means learning Norwegian 1 hour every day,
Okay.
and just writing and researching extra hour each day. That's kind of my plan for 2021. So I'm kind of at the moment and categorizing it to see what I'm trying to create. So for now, I think it's only going to be collection of insights, of knowledge and quotes and anything that can be used for upcoming seminars, but also when I settle in nicely with work, so I can create some materials. You know how much I
Mm-hmm.
worked in Ireland, and unfortunately, consistency in producing videos suffered tremendously because of chaotic work
Yeah.
schedule.
And the other big issue back here was the living situation was just not, it wasn't a very conducive environment for creating content.
Well,
You're in
it's yeah.
you're in a nicer place now this time though.
I feel like I am indeed, and I'm more confident. My income is way better than it was in Ireland,
Hmm.
and I'm working less, but I'm earning more,
Mm-hmm.
and the accommodation is the equivalent of Irish accommodation price or even cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm kind of more relaxed to that. So I'm essentially working on building a foundation so I can uh, write my materials and produce stuff without thinking if I need to work extra 12 hours tomorrow without a day off in the week. And then again, consistency suffers. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how strong-willed I was when I started, I just felt it wasn't the right thing to do, and was no point. I perceived that it was no point pushing myself harder. It was just I just need to change a couple of things, and I knew that the results will happen. I just need to be smart and learn from feedback that I'm
See, that
getting.
was that saying that you were in survival mode rang a chord with me because the last couple of weeks now, the run up to Christmas, security is just the demand for it is just colossal. Especially now with COVID, there's so many more shops and stalls and things like the English market that need security nearly all day. And so I was putting down. I think I did. So I did a 11-day straight. No, I didn't. I did a would have been a 9-day straight and 84 hours over those 9 days. And then just before that 9 day, I would have been I had 3 days off, which was nice. And then again, the weeks before that, they were bang, 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 bang. Because the other thing that was open as well was the pubs. So it was shop security all day, and then you're on the door then from 6 till about 12. And particularly though in the run up to Christmas, I was getting 2 meals a day. I had my good quality breakfast, and then I had one meal in the afternoon. That was it. And then the priority for me was coming home and going straight to bed where possible, because I was finding that so long as I was hitting crucial hours of sleep, I was able to get myself through the day without actually feeling too drained or too exhausted. Um, but as a result, no gym, no content, no podcast, no editing, no cooking, no clean eating, and that sort of survival state. It's kind of a stressful place to be in, and you don't want to be in it for very long, because you're able to rationalize the fact, look, I'm literally too busy. There's nothing I can do about the situation. These days have to unfold as they may, but you're consciously aware that you're not dedicating your time and your passions into what matters to you. And when you're able to do it for the short term, I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to be living under those conditions long term. And so I know I get what you're saying. Did you you obviously had Christmas Day off, did you?
Yeah, I had a Christmas day off. Actually, 2 or 3 days. I was on a 11 day in a row. Then I had 3 days off.
Okay. And so did you get Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Stevens?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. See, that was nice.
What about you? Were you
I
working
had
those days, or?
no, I got Christmas Day, but I was working. I was working Christmas Eve, and then I was working Stevens Day. And actually, the Wednesday evening before the last day of the pubs open, there was a big altercation. Um, Big altercation that left me actually. It actually left me in A&E for the night. And then I was up. I'd say I was probably up to about 3:30 that morning, and then I was up at 7:30 to get into work for 9, and that was Christmas Eve. So there was a lot of pressure on just there before the Christmas. So I had the Christmas Day, and then I was annoyed because I was supposed to be back into another full week of work. So I came down Stephen's Day, but then that shift was only a 4-hour shift, and the shift for the Sunday was cancelled, and then I had no shift. I'd no hours for the following week until Thursday, which is New Year's Eve. And so I kind of came home and left my place of relaxation and rejuvenation to do a 4-hour shift. So that was it was just a disappointment, like, but I got to spend some time with the girlfriend, like, and unwound as well, and got to watch some of her Harry Potters. We have this thing where she wants to watch all the Harry Potters every Christmas, and like we're both too busy to actually do it every time, but always have to make a stab at it. So we're 4 movies in, so I did get a bit of relaxation then post Christmas.
Good. This whole year has been chaotic, and December essentially is a chaotic month because of all the stuff that's happening, Christmas time, New Year's, and there's a lot of people maybe calling sick and refusing to work or taking holidays. So
the other thing I noticed now as well is that every Christmas people are quite tense, they're quite stressed. But this Christmas particularly, people were very sharp, very short-tempered, very, very quick to respond aggressively. And I think what exhausted them even more was the queues. So they're going from shop to shop, to queue, to different security person to different shop attendant telling them they had to wait and yada yada. And so one thing I found was people. It was you had to be very careful what you said to people because they responded to you very aggressively and very quick,
jumpy and snappy.
Very jumpy, very snappy. And then you have to bear in mind as well is that Christmas is an unusual one because there's an international declaration that for one day we're going to settle down and be at peace and spend time with our families. But the fact that isn't brought into focus is that people's stresses and people's lives and the difficulties that they're dealing with don't stop for 24 hours. Everything still exists when you wake up Christmas morning. All the things you've been stressing out about, they're all still there. And I think people feel a lot of pressure to at very least pretend that they're relaxing or pretend that their life isn't as hectic when they see other people who appear to be having more relaxation than them or whatever. And that can come out then with people like security members that they tend to get the brunt of it, or Gardaí or paramedics, or there's sort of a scapegoat of people who have to deal with the stress that people are under at Christmas. And I noticed that particularly this year, because I remember from even doing other Christmases in security and everything, people around Christmas were always snappy, but you always sort of attribute a fair amount of it to drink. It's like, you assume people are snappier because they're drinking more at Christmas. But this was the first year I was dealing with majority of people I spoke to over the run up to Christmas were all sober. And tempers. Like, people idling at 90, and all you have to do is one little iota of thing they didn't like, and they're 120 straight away, and no drink involved. And so it was the first time I really got to examine that as a factor.
Yeah, I think few of us and some of our friends and let's say colleagues who were at the seminar, most of us have developed coping strategies for difficult times. But what about the other people, 80 or 90% of people who don't read self-help books, who don't listen to important podcasts? How difficult for them was to cope with the whole thing. Their life is, let's say, probably somewhat normal or mostly normal before 2020, and then things change radically, and it doesn't seem to be an end. It's always not always, but it tends to be new things happening every day now, and more bad news. Is as soon as you think that things are going better, all of a sudden there's another lockdown and virus that has mutated, and problems with the neighbors in England, and God knows what else. It's kind of a lot of things hitting you from different sides, and you just can't defend from that many hits. And so yeah, I'm surprised that more people didn't commit suicide or doing harm to other people. It was
Those numbers are going to be calculated when all this is over. And as much as they inflated the COVID deaths, I reckon they're going to try and deflate the suicide rates, because I think that's going to be a scary number that comes out. But it's interesting you mentioned coping strategies, because one of the big things, as you know, that I wanted to bring you on for was to discuss New Year's resolutions and the principles and the practices behind it. But when I was doing a bit of reading for this podcast, one of the interesting things I came across was one study that they assessed New Year's resolutions as a coping strategy, and that they found that people actually rely on the new year as some sort of rebirth or some sort of supernatural
light at the end of the
moment.
tunnel.
Yeah, light at the end of the tunnel, some sort of moment of inertia where everything was going to switch, and all of a sudden the stresses you were dealing with, or whatever problems mightn't be as strong or mightn't be as present or whatever it was, but they went through all different stages, and coping strategies was attributed to why people take up resolutions. And I never viewed it that way. Like,
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and I can see why they said that, and it's a lot of truth in that, in my opinion, as well.
But on that then, like, New Year's resolutions, they're a big thing. People love putting up the Insta post or the Facebook post, New Year, new me, 2021. That's particularly now with COVID. The 2020 was such a weird year. We're going to be inundated with people hoping or dreaming that 2021 is going to be different. I don't think it's going to be a huge amount different. I think the fact that life is quite similar year in and year out is really going to be a stark contrast to people posting New Year's resolutions and all sorts, because one of the big things that we all know about resolutions is that they're not kept. So one study it was 44% of people give up in the first week. 22% admit failure in the first week, 40% after the first month, 50% after 3 months, and 81% after 2 years admit that they failed. But like we always know that that's based on self-reporting, and so you can assume that figure is actually much higher, and that most people don't stick to their resolutions at all. And it begs the question then, why every year do people bother trying to set these resolutions?
Well, I think the topic is very important, and I did a fair bit of writing for this podcast. I have papers everywhere around me. You just don't see them because there were so many things I wanted to share with you and your viewers that well, I'll try to use a psychological explanation for New Year's resolution and why they fail and what we can do to achieve our resolutions. And my approach to psychology is giving you tools and giving you a roadmap, so you know how to use the map and how to use the tools, or maybe not a map, but instructional manual, so you know how to use the tools, how to build the stuff you want for yourself. So that's going to be my goal for this podcast, and I think it will be great use to our viewers and to our friends who are watching it. So the way I see a New Year's resolution is, first of all, it can mean several things. One of the things it can mean that this is our unconscious recognition or a gut feeling that something is off in our life, that we're doing more of the stuff that's bad for us and that we're not doing enough of what's good for us. And we are trying to turn a page in our life. So firmly stating, okay, this was old me. From this day on, January 1st or Monday or whatever, in this case, January 1st, I'm turning a new page in my life. I'm going to start doing more of what's good for me. And if you remember during the seminar on goal setting, we discussed willpower. And so people kind of force themselves using willpower to persist in this radical change they're trying to enforce on themselves. And it's simply unsustainable because they skipped probably the phase of planning, of testing their resolution before. Because what happens to people is they often start with a goal, with a project, and then try to figure out what's working, what's not. And as soon as you start failing, a failure attracts more failure. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon you'll be discouraged and give up. It happens to the best. Only very rare individuals, maybe top 3% or even less than that, achieve success from their first attempt because they have enough experience and enough knowledge to recognize what is working, what is producing results, and how much they can tolerate. Behind New Year's resolution is pretty much the amount of stress and unpleasant emotions we can tolerate, because most of the things that they're good for us are not pleasant. Mm. I use a ridiculous example of pizza and broccoli. So pizza is obviously very pleasant and tasty, but it's not that good for us in the long run because it's going to lead to weight gain. It's going to lead to clogged arteries. It's going to lead to reduce the amount of energy that we'll have throughout the day that we can invest in doing stuff that's good for us. For example, broccoli it's not the most nutrient-dense food, but it's very healthy for us, and it detoxifies us of various toxins, and it's low in calories, so it's going to help us to reduce our body weight. But it's not very tasty. Of course, there are some people that are crazy about broccoli, and I don't judge them. I'm not one of those people. But so that is the problem that people encounter. So most of the good stuff, I would even go as far to say majority of maybe all of the good stuff for us are not pleasant, at least not in the beginning. And people who don't plan properly their project, their plans, their goals, set goals that maybe are too unrealistic, or the New Year's resolution. It's basically a synonym for a goal, isn't it? Yeah. Just a goal with a specific starting date. Mm. And they set goals that are so unrealistic, and they do that for several reasons. But what happens when we set an unrealistic goal is, for any worthwhile goal, it takes time, energy, and it takes effort for it to start producing results, at least several months, in my opinion. Probably the most two common New Year's resolution that I've heard is either I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to stop smoking. And
the top three resolutions: losing weight, quitting smoking, and less drinking. They're the top three resolutions around the world.
Yeah. So it's very simple when you say it like that, but those three things that people have been doing, eating too much, smoking, and drinking, paradoxically, they have a valid purpose in their life, because behind the scenes, drinking and smoking was maybe a way of reducing stress, through socializing, through, obviously nicotine has, well, I'm not that familiar with nicotine, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but as far as I've been probably hearing from smokers, it kind of has this soothing effect. Once you smoke a cigarette, you feel a little bit more relaxed. And obviously food was for many shelter from unpleasant things that happen in their life, just a coping strategy. It was for me, I know it firsthand, that I never drank too much, I never smoked cigarettes, but food was my way of escaping from reality. When reality is too hard, you just close yourself in your room, you play video games, so you eat too much. So I said about unrealistic expectations and unrealistic New Year's resolutions. If we fail too much, and if we have a horrible momentum when it comes to being honest with ourselves and being true to our word, if we can't honor 1 week plan. It's kind of a foolish to try to honor the whole year of this new life that we try to set for ourselves. So if we have a so-called negative momentum, it's going to be really hard to do anything. First of all, we're not sure how long this New Year's resolution is going to last. So have they set a deadline? Okay, I'm going to do this for 3 months and I'm going to see, do you like it or not? No, they just said, I'm going to stop smoking. There's no details behind it, nothing. They're trying to do something. Okay, I'm maybe going to work out more. Maybe I'm going to, it's all kind of shady. It's all in the clouds. It's not defined. So psyche needs precise instructions, and psyche needs compromises. You can't just stop smoking, stop doing something and expect that the whole system will work. Now, when you say that you're going to quit something and you're going to stop something, the system is missing a part, and the system can't be running without a part that's going to replace that. If the part was dysfunctional, we can't just simply eliminate something from our life because it's providing us some kind of a purpose to our life. So what we have to do is we have to substitute that part with a new part that has the same amount of emotional charge that had a previous part. And then we have to go through a testing stage to see if this part really fits in our life. What if we are wrong? And we just try to force, some people will say, no, smoking is bad, I should stop smoking. Well, yeah, but what if the rigorous diets are the way to, I don't know, becoming anorexic or making bad, no, maybe exaggerating, but you get my meaning.
I do, yeah.
So doing some other thoughtless things that are going to cause you to lose money and other maybe ruin the relationships with other people. So in fact, when you're not, if your New Year's resolutions are not working out, it simply means that something is off. Some things that you haven't considered, you haven't addressed properly, you haven't taken into consideration, because your mind, for us healthy individuals, your mind or brain or psyche, whatever you like to call it, it's kind of your ally. And sometimes its function can be counterintuitive to you, but it's just because you haven't put enough time to examine things, because thinking is difficult. Contemplation is difficult, and admitting that you're wrong is difficult. So if you can do those things, if you can put in a bit of planning, put in a bit of testing, admitting that what you've been doing is wrong, there's nothing wrong with that being wrong. It's wrong is not correcting it, rectifying it, and taking the feedback that you're getting. That is wrong, because it's going to harm you in the long run and harm the relationships with important people that you have, most likely.
It was actually something that stood out for me when I was doing a bit of reading on this, was the similarities between what it takes to achieve a New Year's resolution and the topics that we covered in our seminar. Because, as you've mentioned there, clear and defined goals. And then the other thing that kept standing out for me is this idea of negative and positive goals. So in terms of away to or away from. So a lot of the time you hear those goals, I want to lose weight. Again, that's a negative, so I want to lose something. So it's already setting us in that train of thought, as you've covered. But then there's no clear, defined end result. Well, how much weight? What category of weight do you want to end up in? By what stage you want to have lost that weight? Is that achievable? Is that attainable? Like one of the big factors when they looked at the resolutions that had failed, one of the big ones was that a lack of thought given to behavioral change and behavioral skills. So people make these resolutions without giving thought to, well, what does it take to achieve something like this? You can't just magically break a habit that you've been doing for 1 year, 2 years, however number of years, just overnight, just right, this is a new year, all of a sudden I'm going to have the mental capacity and strength just to break this habit. Like, that factor of really thinking through the resolution isn't there. But I think some people feel as well that if they don't set some resolution and tell other people about it, well, then they're failing, that they're automatically behind people who come out and tell them their resolution, that they don't feel their life is together if they haven't got a resolution to spurt off when some random person goes, oh, so you're making any New Year's resolutions? Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Because they're looking for an answer to fit in, to blend in, and to dissolve. But then what that does is it does set up a little goal in their head that they will more than likely fail. And again, that's another psychological step back for them. There's something failure behavior change. I lost where there was a tangent there I wanted to come back to, but I may come back as the conversation wears on. But yeah, lack of thought and careful planning of the desired outcome is a major one.
Yeah. So the advice I could give to our viewers and listeners is, one day set up, if you guys want to achieve your New Year's resolution, my advice to you is you have to tie it to a higher goal or your mission in life. It has to become part of your self-image. So let's say that your goal is to build a strong body, or let's say you want to get a six-pack.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of us, me included, when I had a goal like that, it was kind of a result of a built-up frustration because of my past choices in nutrition, in lack of physical activity, and other bad choices in life, essentially. So there's a principle of compensation. It's kind of like a defense mechanism. So when we are not doing enough of what we believe it's good for us, we try to compensate it. A common example in the world of fitness would be, I didn't work out today, I'm going to do double my workouts tomorrow, or stuff like that. So I'm not going to train today, but I'm going to do 3 days in a row. That's compensation. And most of the time, it's not productive, and it's not something you want to do, because the last thing you want is, I didn't sleep today, I'm going to try to sleep 10 hours tomorrow to compensate. Whenever you use compensation, it essentially tells me that you're not using the skills and your potential the right way. It's kind of a primitive strategy, and it's outdated. Maybe that's a better word. Compensation or super compensation, when you're taking insane amount of effort trying to rectify your past choices for stuff like that, especially for New Year's resolution, that's not a good plan. Mm-hmm. So essentially, when there's enough of pent up frustration and compensation, we try to use to achieve the New Year's resolution, to push ourselves towards that. So essentially, as in mathematical formula, the process is from frustration, we use willpower to get motivation, then we leap into action. And we will likely fail because of that, because we're missing one crucial ingredient, and that's planning, analyzing. If most of us had similar experiences with New Year's resolution or trying to achieve a goal like that, most of us never stopped and thought, what worked the previous time? What didn't work? What can I do better? We just try to leap into action and rely on willpower, and we fail. Because most of us, we start our New Year's resolution from something I call the zone of familiarity, or in the common English, it would be our comfort zone. This is the zone that we know well, where we can predict and control the events that are happening. So we step completely outside our comfort zone of familiarity, and we attempt to do something that's maybe radically different than contemporary life or our past as well. That's a horrible strategy, because the world is dangerous. The world is unpredictable. We still rely on maybe some parts of our brain, our psyche, it's very protective. So in this case, no action is safer than insane amount of action. That's how we essentially might think on unconscious level. We're not aware of it. So that's why we fail, because there's also a tremendous risk of achieving success or maybe leaping into action without enough thoughts, enough research, enough preparation, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing then as well is that people often repeat the same goals year in or year out or month in, whatever. For the summer, a lot of people manage to lose a lot of weight because they're super motivated to not look fat, or not look like the image that they don't want to look. And so that actually can get a lot of people through, like weight loss, extreme weight loss coming up to the summer months, or what have you. but it's the people don't pay attention to why they failed in the past. Now we did touch on this already, but the fact is that a lot of the answers that people need when it comes to why am I not able to do X. Well, have you ever tried X before? Yeah, all the time. I'm always wanting to do it. I'm super motivated to do it. X is what I've been aiming for so long. Da, 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 da. One of the problems is when they were attempting X the last time, the last 10 times, they're not aware of every little movement that they're making. And so they're rushing through it, attempting to do it, fail, and they look back at the trail of devastation. They're like, okay, where did I go wrong? They're not picking up the little details as they're going through. And one of the big ways of avoiding that is accountability and bringing other people in on your resolutions, but not Instagram, not people who don't care about you, one or two people that you're close to who understand maybe if you're struggling with something or if it's something you've been aiming for a long time. Bringing other people in on your resolution and getting them to hold you accountable and having some sort of like Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a support group there for a reason. They understand it's extremely difficult to kick a very hard and very strong habit or addiction, and so they say there's no way you can do this on your own. And likewise with resolutions, a lot of people's resolutions are huge. The real big asks, like life-changing decisions, and they think they're able to just plow on and do it on their own, and you really can't. And having people around you who are flag you for it, and you won't always like them when they do it. It's the fella in the group chat who says, are you drinking again? All right, whatever. That's enough. That's him flagging you. That's his attempt at saying you probably shouldn't be doing this. Or if you told him you want to cut back on your drinking, and then the next weekend you're out drinking, that's his way of saying, well, you told me this in the past, you're not holding to it, I'm trying to hold you to it. People who call you out for behavior that you know is bad, they're what real friends look like. And people are confused between the concept of real friends. It was one of the things my father raised me on, was used to say, if you have one or two true friends, you're richer than all them gold and whatever. He'd have some little quip. And I used to be like, yeah, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever. And as I get older, I really understand the value of what he's saying. True friendship, people who hold you to what you say and expect more of you than what you may expect of yourself, they will drive you on leaps and bounds. And they're important to keep those people around you, especially if you've got a difficult challenge you want to take on board. And there's actually very few people with the courage to call out their friends purely out of love and in a bid that they want to see the person do better. And people often respond to those individuals with disdain or with annoyance or with some warped sense that this person is attacking them. And that's a shame, because most people won't have the balls to repeatedly challenge people on particular issues. They may say it once or twice, but with enough of a snappy answer, they're like, well, I'm not doing that again. If that person doesn't care about this issue, well, obviously it's not something they're ever going to care if I keep bringing it up. And people can cut off a lot of good quality friends as a result of their response. So when people who are near you or close to you come out and say, look, this is a way you could do that better, or, well, I actually went through that and here's what you could do. They're not putting you down. They're actually doing the exact opposite. They're attempting to build you up, and you need to pay attention to those people.
I agree. And that is a valid strategy. And I'm gonna try to add another strategy to that, because not all people are unfortunately blessed with good friends. And I consider you a great friend, but I don't like telling other people my New Year's resolution, because I tried that with very good friends and kind of always backfired on me. As soon as I say it out loud in front of other person, it seems like I lose motivation and self-respect. And I know that I'm not alone, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, call it extrinsic or intrinsic, extrovert or introvert. something is off and something is causing a disturbance within the system. So I kind of try to let my actions speak instead of my words, instead of trying to commit in front of other people and friends and kind of let them hold me accountable for my actions. And this is something I recently figured out. I just gonna be my best friend to myself, and first honor my needs, wishes, and commit to myself. And then maybe after a couple of weeks, and I'll tell you more about it, about that strategy, I will just state to other people what I've been doing, what I'm trying to accomplish.
That yes, okay. I knew what you're saying there. First of all, you have to remind you're quite a strong-minded individual. You've come through a lot. You have a tough mental psychic. You have a lot of fortitude. Many people would not benefit from taking that approach first, because
No, but it's out there. It's out there.
it is out. Yeah, it definitely is. I
So
do want to add in a little.
if you have one way, excuse me for interrupting,
No
you
problem.
just if you have one way of doing things and if it's not working, you're stuck.
Yeah.
So the
Yes.
more options we can give to our people, the more options they have, the better they're going to feel, the more confident they'll be that at least now with the tools they have, they're going to hit some kind of a target. Maybe the next time they're going to hit exactly the same target they planned.
Yeah.
So
I do want to add in a caveat to what I said though, in regards to, I completely agree with you, and it's one of the things anyone who knows me knows. I've 2 seconds. Yeah, sneeze. No, gone. Hang on. No, gone. Anyone who knows me knows I've come up with, I've repeated this one to certain people. Never tell people your plans, because as soon as you do that, you get that gratification that they've gone, wow, man, that's a real good idea, or that's actually really going to suit you. That's a fantastic thing, man. You should work on that. You get that little gratification. Your mind goes, that's the reaction of what people are going to give me when I succeed. And it takes the edge off your game, and it will kill your motivation. And it's always something I'm banging on to people. Don't be telling people your plans. If you have to come out and be like, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that, I don't believe you're going to. It's one of the things you see with a lot of fighters, especially a lot of fighters who haven't actually proved themselves yet. One of the things they'll all do when they come up, they'll talk a big game, because the lack of achievements is compensated with their overzealous confidence, with their cockiness, really. And so I agree with you. That's a good point to make. Telling people your plans can have a negative effect on your goals, but that's why when it comes down to one or two people, and it's not that you go, hey man, I'm going to work on this, I want you to hold me accountable. It's a passing comment to one of your mates, maybe it's like, well, I was thinking I might try and do this a little bit better.
Yes,
and
that was actually what I wanted to add, is the emotion that you have within you when you're saying this to your friends. Yes.
Yeah.
The way you convey the message.
The way you convey it. Yes. If
yes.
you leave it
yes,
there subtly,
I agree.
and you move away from it, a true friend will pick up on. No, I have to be careful, because I might put some people in trouble for not picking up on things, because some people's hints are very subtle. But someone who's listening to you will usually pick up on little things you say, and will down the line bring it back to you and be like, well, hey man, I noticed that you lost weight. You said that to me back in whatever month. You said you're about to go gym more, and you did it, man. Fair play. And it is in the way that you convey the message is vital. Because if you convey it with a goal of seeing their reaction, you failed. You failed totally, because your whole concept is about public reaction.
Approval seeking.
The approval seeking, exactly. And that's an absolute terrible one, because one of the other things in the articles I was reading was the big one is, do not take on any resolution that is because of social expectation. Because social motivation is not enough to sustain you when a goal or a resolution gets real tough. So whatever you do, don't pick a resolution because it sounds good or because society says this is an important aspect. You have to pick a goal that's in a line with the way you think and with your person and what you actually want as an individual.
Yes. The emotion is very important. Is that emotion of determination, confidence, boldness, or is that emotion of doubt, past failures,
Mm.
It's a big difference. We can say the same sentence with different emotion, and this sentence will be interpreted a completely different way. So if you have a body language and a mindset, I'm just going to talk about it now, not just the mindset, but self-image. This is actually what I want your listeners to take in the most, and viewers to take in the most, is when you set up a New Year's resolution, you have to work on your self-image. And this is essentially the belief system that you have about yourself, what you can do in this world and what you can't. And most of us have kind of a damaged self-image, or self-image the student on mediocrity and on failure, and it's not really tuned in into producing tremendous results for us. So I would like you to start working first on your self-image. Instead of saying things like, I'm a person who tries, sometimes achieves the things I want, and sometimes I don't achieve the things I want. I want you to use a different sentence for yourself from now on. I'm that person who plans properly, who starts and who finishes what I started. I always finish the things I start. This is one of the things that you can start saying to yourself. If you didn't back up with action, it will be just being fake, fooling yourself. But try doing small things and not putting too much pressure on yourself when you fail to honor this part, this self-image that you're trying to create. Start slowly. Believe in yourself, and that means that even though you don't see the results right now, keep doing the right things, what you can do, and keep adding bit by bit more, not maybe each day, but when you feel that you're ready, add a little bit more. With
What
more
if you're
success.
what if you're a person though who doesn't finish what they start? And as a genuine credence to their self-image, they have to acknowledge that they're not someone who finishes what they start.
Every human success, I would go that far to say that every human success wasn't true statement when it started. When the great inventors, when they were on the road to invent some things, that thing didn't exist back then, but they stated it. They had that goal in their mind, but they kind of start from, this is something I call high to low approach. You start with the goal already accomplished, and now you go step by step trying to figure out how did you accomplish it as it already exists in the external world. So you devise a strategy, you devise the steps by using feedback, knowledge, and experience to see what kinds of steps will lead towards successful achievement of that goal. You know how Thomas Edison said that he failed 10,000 times. He had 10,000 unsuccessful attempts to create a light bulb, and his answer was like, no, I found 9,999 ways how not to light a light bulb. But the end result is all that matters eventually. So this man could say 9,999 times that he's a failure, that he doesn't finish what he starts, but eventually with persistence, with feedback, with experience, he figured out a way to do it. And this is just one individual. There's millions of individuals right now that have accomplished something. It may not be as significant as the thing you're trying to accomplish, but it's about developing that belief structure about yourself, that you are this kind of a person. You can't accomplish anything worthwhile in life if you have doubts about it, because you will find a way to sabotage your success. So you have to start first working on your self-image before you leap into action. And this is building a belief foundation. I am this person. If your goal is to get a six-pack, it's not simple enough to say I have a six-pack. You need to use sentences to form a belief structure, such as I eat healthy, I eat nutrients-dense foods, I work out 5 days a week. Yes, 5 days a week. I use intermittent fasting. I drink plenty of water. I limit my social, what is not a social interaction, but let's say I go out maybe once or twice a month. So these are concrete steps that's going to help you to achieve that goal. The more things you know, the more precise you are, the closer and more faster you will get to that goal. Because now we have your mind knows what activities to pursue and what activities to ignore.
Now that's a very good point now, because I was waiting to ask the question. I wanted you to expand on what is self-image, because it's one of these kind of phrases that gets thrown around a lot, but I think people struggle to visualize the concept behind what's been discussed here. But what you've said there is a very good example. Is your self-image is a collaboration of sentences which describe what your physical body does on a regular basis, and how that, and what results that produces. So I'll try to think of another one. Say security, right? It's not I am someone who fights people and is aggressive. It's I'm a very talkative person.
Beautiful. Yes.
I'm a very calm person. I enjoy dealing with people's conflict. I enjoy finding ways of resolving people's issues. I enjoy being helpful. I'm a person who gets gratification from working with other people and seeing other people's reactions and emotional responses. And as a result, I actually make quite a good security man. And it's that building of sentences. And
Yes.
so one of the ways of understanding self-image is you have to try fluff up. Like if you're ever writing an essay and you're struggling for a word count, you'll begin to repeat sentences if you're kind of cheating and you're whatever.
Just start.
You'll begin to start repeating sentences and changing words, which effectively mean the same thing, but you build then bigger, heavier paragraphs. But likewise with self-image, your self-image is what you could produce if you were to write down the characteristics of what makes the image, what makes the person that other people see. Am I making that clear? Is that understandable?
Well, yeah, if I understood correctly, what you said that other people see, this is often persona, called persona, what the image, self-image that we're projecting into the world, and we're hoping that other people will see us as this particular person. That is our persona. Self-image, our self-image. What is the word I'm looking for? I kind of don't have it right now, but I'm sure I will remember it. This is something that you produce, and when you're alone inside of your four walls, you can be happy that you're alive and that you're doing the right things in your life. You can be proud of yourself. This is the belief structure, strong belief structure that is going to result in that feeling. If you're nurturing this belief system by using the aforementioned sentences that we've covered so far, and there's more of them. You just have to figure out what sentences ring true in your life for your temperament, for your character.
But then, go on.
Not only taking what other people say that it's positive and it's needed in the world. No, actually, all of us, let's say that all of us have a full potential we can achieve before the end of our lives to be as fullest as we can be before we leave this world. And your self-image is maybe composed of different attributes, of different skills, of different character traits of mine or yours, but it's still there. And I believe that your task for this life is to figure out what it is and develop it fully.
This brings into play then the fact, though, that you have to evaluate your values and what you're striving towards. Now, I know, like, the argument, so, like, if you're going for a six-pack, are you going for a six-pack so that you can, are you going for a six-pack so you can boast about it, so you can show it off, so you can maybe woo girls in a particular fashion? Are you going so that it will boost your ego to such a degree that you can hold your head up in public? And if that's what you want, and if that's what you think is important, if that's what you want to go for, absolutely go for it. If that's what you're going for, but be careful, because those paths are treacherous and they can leave you feeling very deflated and very empty. Whereas if you say, I want to be a healthy individual, and as a result, I want to look strong and fit one of the byproducts may be a 6-pack or even a 4-pack or just lean muscle mass in general. And therefore, you're setting a goal that isn't based on total vanity. You're basing it on a man, and I know we're talking a lot about men in this context, but 6-packs, yeah, you know what I mean. A man is expected on some level to take care of his body to a certain degree that he is ready, traditionally ready for war, ready for battle, ready for whatever life comes at him. And now, while our lives have gotten more sedentary and less violent, you still need to be prepared for what's coming. And if you're exercising and sleeping and eating correctly, you are better equipped to deal with whatever challenges come your way. And again, one of the byproducts of that, maybe you may genuinely just be leaner. And there's a goal that the value that you derive from it is on some level more of a noble sort of trajectory, so that at the end of the day, it's based on you feeling like a more accomplished and better equipped human being,
On
rather
many
than you
levels.
feeling that you have a body that will get you an emotional reaction off other people. And
Yes,
that's,
on different levels, in different manifestations in
yes,
your life.
yeah.
So what are we saying when we say 6-pack to impress the girls? It's essentially a way of compensation for the perceived inadequacies because of our past
Yes.
choices, isn't it?
Yes.
And it works for some people, but how many people you know that had achieved this goal once, but later on they resort back to the old ways of living and became overweight again? And do you want to achieve your goals, your New Year's resolution like that, to hit the target, and then because you don't know how to sustain the results, you want to resort back to, or maybe even go further back and create even bigger mess than existed before the New Year's resolution? I hope not.
This brings back in that concept then of compensation. So you're compensating for some, whether you've got a bit of a social anxiety or whether you have an inability to talk to women or whatever it is. Some people can compensate for the lack of a personality with maybe an attractive body or whatever else. So again, you have to then question, why do you want this goal? Why is your goal? So for example, why do you want to quit smoking? That should be an easy one. You should want to live longer. You should not want to have to be coughing in public. You should not want to have to go out and stand in the rain and have your cigarette break. And, you know, maybe your partner has commented that they don't like the smell of your breath, or you've got the yellow stained, nicotine stained fingers. They all make sense. Those goals, the benefits from those are clear and understandable. So then you then have to say, right, what's your goal? What's the first thing when this question is asked you? What's your New Year's resolution? What's the first thing come to your head? And if it is, because we're on the topic, 6-pack, why? Why do you want a 6-pack? Question your goals is vital, because the first thing that comes into your head is often where you've put a lot of your focus, and it's generated automatically, and it's an important response because it's like a spot check on whatever, and it's like, right, well, where are my priorities leaning? If the first thing came into my head when I asked for New Year's resolution was to drink less, well then maybe I know that I'm drinking too much. Maybe I'm getting into trouble. Maybe I'm having multiple arguments with my partner. Maybe my friends aren't talking to me as much, or I'm fighting with them because I'm drinking so much. And if I want to stop drinking, that needs to be a serious goal. You need to focus on that, because something inside of you has told you have to stop this for whatever survival, whatever you need to build on. Your subconscious has said no drinking, cut back drinking, whatever, and you have to take that seriously. So again, the where your mind goes when you think of resolutions, it's important to trace where your mind's gone to come to that desire. Just like paying attention when you fail at your goals, and paying attention to the little details allows you to build the next time and actually succeed, or at very least get further on in your progress than the time before. It's paying attention to those little details, asking those questions. Why is my New Year's resolution a 6-pack? That's paying attention to the little details, and that's very, very important.
Agreed. I'd like to present a strategy for a New Year's resolution. I have it on the paper in front of me, so I'll be looking a little bit back on the paper, because it's kind of a step-by-step strategy, with your permission, of course.
Absolutely.
That are friends can try, instead of maybe setting goals that are too unrealistic and without enough tools to accomplish those goals. So we spoke about the self-image. So what I would recommend you guys is to first, before attempting any kind of meaningful action, first do a bit of mental preparation. That you're approaching the unfamiliar ground. You'll be stepping outside your comfort zone. So things will be new, things will be unpleasant. It's not pessimistic, it's simply realistic. It's going to happen, whether you want it or not. It appears that we're wired that way, the reality has been structured that way, that every significant human accomplishment requires this certain level of unpleasant emotions and risk taking and efforts and loss of maybe loss of money as well in the process because of the wrong choices that it will make, and later on learn from that. So first, work on building a new belief structure. Second thing is, before you start your action, your New Year's resolution, it doesn't have to start on the January 1st. That's crap. No one told you that you have to start on January 1st. That sounds cool on a superficial level, but you know that strategy that doesn't work. If it worked already, you wouldn't be learning about new tools to achieve your New Year's resolution. So take first a week of planning. Just try to hit it from different angles. We're going to talk about Disney's creativity strategy for that. So this originates from neurolinguistic programming. I'm certified trainer and master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming, and in NLP, this is a abbreviation for. Is it abbreviation in English? The short.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Sometimes I mix up the words. So we modeled Walt Disney, who is one of the great minds of our time, very creative. They say that Walt Disney had 3 rooms. One room was specifically there for him to dream about all kinds of goals and possibilities. So he would go there, he would just write things down without thinking about it, whether it's realistic or not, possible or impossible. He would just put it on a paper. So this is your New Year's resolution, step number 1. Feel free, dream about it. I would say buy yourself a new notepad maybe, or open a document of a specific color, some pleasant color. For me, it's light blue. So you know that when you're writing stuff in that document or in that notebook, it's just you dreaming about possibilities, about this goal, and be creative. Don't think about realism.
And this is all part of the mental preparation.
Yeah. Mental preparation and planning, mental planning and preparation. This is your planning phase. Then you would open another document, maybe a different color, maybe a different. Is it a notebook? The thing that you use, the papers to write stuff. How do you say it? Yeah, something like refill pads. And then you would go into a different state. This is a state of critic. Disney would have a room. It's called critic. He would go into that room and harshly criticize those ideas that he had.
And really harshly tear them apart.
Really harshly. This can't succeed because of this, and this. It's foolish from you to attempt anything like that because you did this, and this. So you're kind of getting a lot of useful insights. You just have to be a man or woman enough to admit it, that you made those mistakes.
And I think a lot of people think in that framework anyway. They're too fast to criticize themselves. And criticism has its place, but then you have to balance it.
Some people, they skip the dreamer stage. So they're just too harsh on themselves. They don't let them dream enough about possibilities and how life would look like if they achieve those goals. Some people, they're stuck in dreamer stage, dreamer phase. They just dream and they never take a critical approach. They say, no, I'm being positive and optimistic. But yeah, you're missing a vital component, because being positive and optimistic isn't enough. Then there's a third room called realist. He would go into that room. He would combine his dreams with a critique, with feedback from the power of negative thinking, and what he would use the insights he has, and he would start with something. and he would use constantly feedback to improve on that, to move even closer and closer and closer to those dreams he had in the dreamer stage. So I advise the same thing to you. You will always have a way to start. It can always be a significant thing that you can do for yourself. You just have to compromise a little bit. You just have to be realistic with what it is that you can do right now. Because it's foolish, in my opinion, to start doing something and you do it for a week or two or a month or two, then you resort back to your old dysfunctional ways of being and operating. And the more you do that, the more you're going to think that something is wrong with you. And we said it during the seminar, it eventually leads to learned helplessness. When the opportunity is going to be around you, you won't recognize them because you failed so much that you're just going to say, what the heck? Why should I even try? So yeah, this is the strategy for the planning phase. Dream about and be creative. Dream about this future. Be creative. Criticize it as a good father, as a good manager, as a good boss. Criticize it. Maybe as a good lawyer, whatever word you like to use. Someone who you trust. And then, as a good worker, implement the things that you have now. There's always something you can implement. And be modest. If you tried with big steps before and it didn't work, take baby steps now. When you accomplish things, you will fill up your confidence pot. You'll get more and more confident, and you will start to believe that, yeah, you're capable of doing bigger things. But you just have to start with baby steps. Salami slice your goal. Do what you can right now. So when you have finished the planning phase, and by using the strategy that I mentioned now, you're not going to jump into a New Year's resolution right now. What you're going to do, you're going to take a testing phase for a week. So you're not going to put it on paper that this is my goal right now. I'm going to focus it for 6 months or a year. You're going to take a testing phase. So you're going to consciously test it. You're not committing to it. You're just going to test it for a week to see how it's working in relation to your life, to your work, to your relationships. You're going to see how this new self-image you're trying to create, how does it operate in the real world? It might work incredibly well, but then you hit some roadblocks in your relationship and you don't want to disappoint your girlfriend because you're becoming someone else, or you suspect that your performance will drop at work because of the new lifestyle you're trying to create. That's why you need a testing phase to see how it works in the real world. The feedback you get, you can even go back again to the planning phase, go back, dream, criticize, and start implementing again.
And just to give an example there as well for for where a roadblock, for example, coming back to the six-pack example we keep giving, an example of that one would be, as you said, where your partner or your girlfriend or your other half, whatever, doesn't see what you really want, or maybe doesn't understand your goal, and so their option for the Friday night is to kick back with a Chinese or with an Indian,
Yes.
then not cook maybe over the weekend,
Very good
maybe
point.
get another takeaway Sunday night, and all of a sudden you have to say, well, we're not doing that, and unless you cook the dinner for them and you take control of the goal entirely, the person may look at you and say, well, this is what we've always done together. This is our routine on a Friday evening. This is our treat for the week, and you feel the confliction because you have to almost pull away from a person you care about to achieve your goal, and that's painful and it's confusing because then you're like, well, is this person right for me? How come they can't get on board with my goal? How can't they see I'm really trying here? Why are they so backward? And then maybe you actually lash out with them because all of a sudden you have this newfound goal and you're like, well, you're just lazy and you're just unhealthy and I'm trying to do better and you're holding me back, and things can get out of hand very quickly. In a short few minutes, you can lose your temper and an argument can ensue that
you can lose your relationship.
You can lose a relationship like that. And so roadblocks, the thing with them is that a lot of them they blindside you. They come up very subtly, and all of a sudden you're like, how is this an issue that I have to deal with? And so as that testing phase is very important, because maybe the testing phase can result in something simple as, okay, well, I've run into this problem on a Friday evening where she wants to sit down and have the takeaway, or he wants to sit down and have the takeaway. So, right, how can I get around this? An easy one would be like, well, maybe I should try experimenting cooking my own sort of Chinese dishes or takeaway-esque dishes, and maybe we can actually find a whole new tradition and something that's way more exciting, way more fun, and something
Exactly.
that's building together and actually bringing us together, because then we can cook or we can taste food together, and this would be a whole new thing. And so you have to bear in mind that just because it's a roadblock actually may be absolutely essential to building a better quality result. So don't take roadblocks as a message from the universe that your plan isn't healthy, or you shouldn't go ahead with your goal. You should take it that, as you actually put up on your Facebook the other day, so God gives his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers.
Yes.
You have to take these obstacles as, okay, I'm going to climb this wall, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to be stronger, and I'm going to be better for it. And at the very least, if it fails and it's a misery, what you can then say, even if it's 9,999 times you fail, you can say, well, now I know the 999th time or method of not doing that particular activity.
Mm-hmm.
And you have information and you can use it to your advantage.
And there is no roadback, only feedback.
Yay! Nice.
Yeah. And this is actually one of the beliefs that you want to instill in your self-image. There is no roadblock, only feedback. This is a useful piece of information. I don't have to be that stubborn to keep using the same strategies to get results, and they're failing. So I have this valuable piece of information. If I implement it, yes, I might be a different person, but I'll be a better person, and my relationship will be better, because every sane partner will respect you more and love you more when you're healthier, when you're stronger, because you can help them.
And be patient. Be patient with your partner. It may seem like they're holding you back, but it may be that they just don't fully understand yet.
Yes.
Be patient. Yes. Be willing to talk through people around you what your goal is and why you want to achieve it. And in
seek
doing
first
that,
to understand, then to be understood.
Exactly. And in being able to explain yourself, it can actually help clarify your goal and what you want. And again, it may benefit you in ways you can't predict.
Yeah. So, because I don't want to drift further away from the topic of New Year's resolution, I wouldn't want to go into giving any kind of relationship advice. So I'm just going to stick with the strategy. So we said so far we want to work on our self-image to instill new beliefs backed up by small action steps. So we had a week of planning. We're going to invest some time every day, 10, 15 minutes, and just dream, criticize our dreams. And if criticize is a too harsh word for some of you, feel free to use any other word that has the same purpose. It's just to point out what is not simply realistic. It doesn't pertain to real life. So that's all it does.
Other words like analyze, examine, evaluate, critique, if that's quite similar.
Yeah.
Assess. Like they're all productive, beneficial words that they're not looking to hurt you.
No.
At the end of the day, they're looking to create a better product.
Yes. So then we said after dreaming and evaluating our goals and kind of having an action plan, don't jump into your New Year's resolution. Take a testing phase, testing week, and see how this new life will work out in real life. How you being a different person, how will it impact your relationships with other people, with your partner, how it will impact your work, family, friends, and use the feedback that you get. You can go back again, because why rush? You don't have to rush. No one told you that you have to achieve this new version of yourself within 365 days. God knows how long it's going to take you. Important is, in my opinion, important is this gut feeling that tells you that you're on the right path. And that's a beautiful feeling. And most of us know when we feel that feeling that we're on the right path, that we're doing what we should be doing. And that's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And I hope that all of you will experience it soon. So one other thing that we need to take into consideration is when we are planning a New Year's resolution, we don't want to add too many things.
Yes. Yeah, that was another big one when I was reading was too many.
Sometimes when we okay, I'm kind of more successful with my goals than an average person. I would be uh, out of line maybe to say that, but I can probably say that because my goal is not to offend anyone or to pretend that I'm better than anyone else. I just maybe I'm more successful with my goals and endeavors than some percentage of population. That's a fair thing to say, isn't
Yeah,
it?
100%.
So anytime I try to add too many things to my goals and to my New Year's resolution, I would fail miserably because I simply couldn't cope with all the things I put into the list. So when it comes to six pack, obviously this is a goal of a six pack New Year's resolution for a six pack. This is a very, very broad. This is a clear, specific goal, but it requires broad set of action. And if I have a negative momentum behind me, and if I have a chaotic work and maybe troublesome relationship, it will be nearly impossible for me to achieve that goal because it requires doing so many things consistently and almost probably in the same day. Eating healthy, working out, taking into consideration my work, my relationship, this and that, sleep, exactly. So I might start instead of six pack, I might be realistic and using the feedback I got from doing my planning phase and say, okay, what I'm going to focus on is eating three healthy, nutrients dense meals every day. Or I may start working out 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Now you will have, after being successful with that, you're probably after a week or two, when you get your confidence, you're going to get an injection of confidence, as when you press the nitrous express in your car, it just goes. You're probably going to feel that you can tackle more stuff, and you're losing time that because you're not adding more things. That's a trick, and you have to resist the temptation to add more stuff because you're not ready. And trust me, you're not ready for it. Stick with it for a month, evaluate, then add 10-15% more to that goal. So if your ultimate goal is a six pack, this is your New Year's resolution. So you start by eating 3 healthy meals every day for a month, for the whole month. This is something that's under your control. This is extremely realistic. This is probably that any person can do. But for that, we have to be mature, and we have to avoid our instinctual tendency for instant gratification, our childish tendency to act like a child. I want it now. I want it now. I want everything right now. So we have to postpone this instinct for I need everything right now. So you do it for a month, then you start month number 2. You kind of remind yourself that this is a journey. Definitely, this is a quest, and it's going to take me many months before I achieve that, and I'm willing to do that. This is, again, what I said now is a sentence that formulates the belief structure of your self-image. I do realize this is a quest. Maybe the person that you were before, knowing this, would say something like this: okay, I'm going to do this for 3 months, and then I'll figure out what I will do with my life. No, from today, you're kind of altering the self-image. You're realizing that this is something that you can do until the rest of your life, and it's good for you. When you have 3 healthy meals, you can still eat the ice cream in between those meals. You can still eat pizza in between those meals. You can still drink. But because you have a foundation for health and this belief system that you're now a healthy person, someone who takes good care of his or her body, making healthier choices, it will attract more stuff like that, because our body is smart, our mind is smart. We all know that once we start working out, it's almost more difficult to skip a workout.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. When you start your goal, you would never think it's like that, because you're always fighting this initial feeling of that you may be too tired and maybe you should skip today's work. But once you're at it, we all know that once you're back in the gym working out for 2-3 months, we hate skipping the workouts because we feel good, we feel strong. Once you're eating healthy consistently, we don't want to eat chocolate and ice cream because we're going to have a carbs crash. We're going to feel worse off. So this is another thing we want to add to our New Year's resolution strategy. Keep it simple. Keep it simple and do that for a month. Evaluate. Are you happy with it? Yes. Would you like to add something? Work away, my friend. 10 to 15%. Add something to it. You deserve it.
And
But
then do you
be
try
modest.
again for another month with that addition?
Yes.
Hmm.
You keep building the foundation because you'll be more confident. You will have a strong positive momentum behind you. And you're not doing it for 3 months, 6 months. You're doing it for your life.
Hmm.
But you don't say this to yourself, I'm going to do it until the rest of my life, because that's putting too much pressure on you. You're just focusing on doing the right things every day.
And why should someone not use the momentum they have if they've been doing well for a week or two and they feel real confidence that they can take on more? Why shouldn't they?
Well, they can. They can, of course. I say from my experience and doing this many, many times, attempting many goals, I would say go at least for a month. And a month is a nice number as well, 30 days.
Hmm.
In my opinion, it's way better and more encouraging to do 30 days than 10 days.
Hmm.
Because I did plans that had a testing phase, not a testing phase, the execution phase of 10 days. And I would add onto that, most of the times, I wasn't really happy with the results I had. It was too much pressure. So this is my advice. You can tailor it your life. This is just like a general rule that I would advise you to use, but it can be any number of the days. It can be 14, it can be 15.
And if you felt you were able for more, use it. Utilize the momentum while it's there.
Use it, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Some of you are more stronger minded than I am, more confident than I am. Why not? Go for it. But just keep that in mind, that if it becomes overwhelmingly difficult to maintain this process, that you're doing something wrong. Then you need to tone it down a little bit. Because you don't want to wake up every morning and thinking about your goals and about your new self-image is something that's, crap, I have to do that again. You don't want that feeling.
Yeah.
You want to have that feeling, God damn, I feel so strong today again.
Yeah.
I feel so good. And I can't wait to go to work. I can't wait to kiss my girlfriend. I can't wait to... This is the kind of emotion that I hope you will have when starting a New Year's resolution. Now, so would you like me to move on, or would you like to add something to it?
I would like to add again, once more, coming back to paying attention to little things as you go along. On that topic of once you begin a habit, or a positive habit, such as working out every day, and then it becomes so difficult you get full of guilt if you try and skip a workout, or if you do skip a workout, you feel you don't feel as good. You, within a couple of days of skipping consecutive workouts, you begin to feel like you've shrunk and that you're small and that everyone's suddenly bigger than you. Paying attention to those little details then also has a positive on the flip side, which is where, say for example, if you get two big ones for me were water. Once I started high amounts of water intake every day, one day, and I mean within 24 hours of not keeping to my regular water cycle, a headache will begin. I'll feel tired. I'll be a little bit slower. I'll actually feel cranky. And it'll be nothing to do with carbs, nothing to do with that. Water intake. If your body is used to operating at a high level of functionality, you begin to subtract from the methods to achieve that high level. It will backfire. But you have to be paying attention. You have to notice when things aren't going your way. If you have 2 or 3 nights on the trot of good sleep, there's those mornings you wake up and you don't even need to hit that snooze. You're out of bed. You feel fantastic. You're chatting. You're friendly to your housemate. You're making your breakfast. Maybe you're whistling, going out to the car. Again, you pay attention to those little things. Why am I in a good mood today? Well, I suppose, I've eaten well. I've slept properly the last couple of days. Wow, this is what health feels like. This is why so many businesses are dedicated to improving people's health. You have to pay attention to those little details, because that's where you'll get your real knowledge and your guidance, and that's where you're fine-tune your radar for whether you're on the right track or not. And what does the right track mean? And again, when you bring back in values, one of the funny things is that people look at values as subjective. Well, everyone has their own values. Yeah, okay, maybe. Why is it then that we can all agree on certain behaviors make you feel good and certain behaviors will overall have a negative impact? There has to be some level of objectivity to value systems. And again, the value of being healthy, that's an objective standard. Every human body has the same response to beneficial practices or negative practices. So there is an objective, and that's why evaluating your values for whatever your goals are important. Because if you feel something maybe isn't of the highest nobility that you can attribute to it, maybe it's not actually good for you long term. So paying attention to the little details and using that to fine tune is all I was going to add to that.
Yeah. So essentially, simply becomes a new life for you. You're living a life in, like you said, you can water, and now your body's kind of like, Tim, what's happening?
What are you doing to me? Like,
what are you doing to me now? So once you come into it, you have to stick with it.
So
Because
once more, to rehearse, we have mental preparation and planning, dream phase, critique, analyze, whatever label you want to put to that, implementation, and again, also in that, the steps for implementing and how are you actually going to get there? What does achieving that goal actually look like, and how are you going to get there? And then the test phase.
So that's what we covered so far.
Yeah.
And another step is going to be, again, working on your self-image, as developing a kind of a mentality. I wouldn't even know how to describe it. I call it sleep like a champion mentality, but you can use any other word you want. Is simply becoming a person who has a belief structure that I hate quick fixes. I am a person that hates quick fixes. I hate ads that sell quick fixes. I hate ads that sell pills that promise instant results. I'm simply a person who doesn't believe in that crap. Become that kind of a person. Say something like, that's for losers, and I'm no loser. I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to be proud of it. This is also a piece of the puzzle of your belief foundation, of your new self-image. It's not just me saying it, it's by examining many hundreds, maybe thousands of successful people, of trying to figure out what the hell they've used to get where they are in life. And what we don't see is on the surface is operates a strong belief structure, because no successful person will go and fall for things like that, at least when they're building their empire, financial, health, or relationships, anything that's worthwhile mentioning. Those people don't rely on quick fixes and instant solutions. They believe in hard work. They believe in using the potential they have, knowing their worth to the marketplace. Consistency, yes. And practice saying that to yourself and really mean that. At the beginning, it may not sound truthful to you. It sounds maybe that you're faking it, but try to back it up with action and see how you feel. Yeah, I don't need stuff for free. I'm going to earn that for myself. I don't want that six-pack for 2 to 3 months and then resort back eating junk foods and skipping workouts. That's not a life for me. I'm not going to be a loser anymore. I'm a winner, man. I'm going to do it this time. Start nurturing this fertile ground with this new belief structure. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for life. Teach, learn how to fish this time, so you can always catch it when you need it. So this is another step. Avoid quick fixes. Hate them. Despise them. Avoid them as much as possible. Any quick fix idea, avoid it. That's my advice. Second step, endure restless nights, nightmares, tendencies to give up and give in. When you begin a change, you will go through different phases. It will feel unnatural to you. You will be afraid that you're becoming someone who is different, way different, that will not be accepted anymore by family, by friends, by partner. It will happen in your dreams as well, possibly. It will disturb you maybe during the day as well. You have to endure to it's not events, but to things that will happen, and they will probably happen, because change is often not pleasant. So when it hits you, stick with it. Again, if you have to go back, reanalyze what you're doing, use the feedback. Maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself, but in every kind of culture, when people go through some kind of initiation, it's essentially a change from being a boy or a girl to a man or a woman, which means becoming a person who has taken a full responsibility for his or her existence. They have to endure some kind of a pain, stress, suffering, and that's a phase, and you will have to go through it. If your goal is worthwhile having and achieving, and you will often have to go through that phase as well. So get ready for it. It's okay. It's completely natural. Endure restless nights, nightmares, uncertainties, and keep pushing forward.
Again, bringing it back to the gym metaphor we keep using, like your body will hurt after hard sessions. It's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. You have to. There's no way around DOMS. There's no way around a leg day that leaves you unable to get up the stairs like this. Like that's part and parcel of it, and that goes to show that if the human body forces you to suffer before it can get strong, then that's in nature. That there's something there within the fabric of existence that requires you to go through the river of despondence and to come out the other side.
What if you didn't feel the DOMS?
Then I feel like I haven't worked hard enough. I feel the days that I don't have it is the days I'm like, damn it, I didn't push it hard enough. Now, there is a point on this one where sometimes you can hit not a plateau, but you'll hit a point where you can work out very minor stiffness, maybe in certain places. If you're fully stretched, you do your recovery again the next day. When you're on a cycle, your body recovers faster. So there is that period where you won't be as bad, but you will always feel a little bit stiffness, maybe just deeper, maybe in the tissue. This time you'll feel, yeah, okay, I remember doing chest day 2 days ago. But on the days that you have nothing, it makes the day before a session feel inadequate.
So DOMS is delayed onset of muscle soreness. So if you experience a delayed onset of mental soreness, that means that you're on the right track.
Yes, Brad. Yes.
So keep going. I believe Churchill had a nice quote. He said, "When you're going through hell, keep going. You eventually will get there." And one other thing that we will use in this strategy is treat yourself. After a successful month, I would advise you to reward yourself with a reward that's approximately the same as the amount of effort that you put in. For most people, it would be take about 10% of your income and buy something nice for yourself that has a high utilitarian value, something that you can use for potentially many years. Maybe a nice wristwatch, elegant wristwatch, or
maybe a kitchen appliance.
Maybe a kitchen appliance, a coffee maker.
Yes.
Or a nice pair of shoes, the shoes that you always wanted for yourself, or maybe a purse or a backpack.
Improve your mattress, your bed. That would be
a mattress, a very good
one to invest money in.
So something that you'll be able to use for many years to come, many months to come, and this is also sending a strong message to your self-image that you're someone who cares about himself or herself, someone who's mature and responsible. So
now I like the way you framed the rewards in material objects that are still a benefit to you, or it doesn't have to be material. Obviously, it can be if you want to invest in a full body rub down, maybe some deep tissue work with your physio, and it's 60 quid to go for it. Again, things like that are another one. But I like the way though that you haven't gone, oh, if your goal is losing weight and you lose that weight, have a takeaway. I like what you've done there. The reward
that's a very good point. Yeah.
Overall benefits life in general as well. It's not a step back. It's not allowing yourself to be lazy on your goal for a certain period of time as a reward. It's
that's why we are targeting our essence. We're targeting our self-image. If you didn't know this and you're working on your year's resolution, you probably treat yourself with junk food, cheat meals, cheat days and stuff like that. But now you know better. Now you know that you're not just a person who has a six-pack, but a person who is strong, healthy, successful, because success with your health will open many career opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Because making healthier choices every day will provide you with more energy that you'll be now able to invest in different activities, some highly productive activities that will result with more options, more choices in your life, more opportunities. That's why it's so important to work on a self-image and this belief structure, because it will open many, many doors to you. Some of the doors, or most of the doors, you won't be even aware that they exist at the beginning, but you will see later on, after a couple of months or maybe a year, or I don't know for sure how many months or years, but it will happen. Most certainly it will happen. It's only a matter of time. So reward yourself. If you're not sure if 10% of your monthly income is maybe a bit too much, you can't invest that much money to reward yourself. Well, put on a paper maybe a small reward, a big reward, and find a sweet spot in between.
Nice.
And do it. If you promise yourself to buy it in the end of the month, you have to do it.
You have to, yeah. You have to treat that as serious as your goal, because your body will, if your body thinks you're going to lie to it, it won't take you seriously.
To hold you to your word.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a hell to pay, as our Professor Peterson would say. Yeah. If you don't do it, it's going to be a hell to pay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so this is kind of that strategy. Start with work on your self-image, start instilling new beliefs backed up by small action steps. Plan, go into different rooms, into different refill pads, documents, dream, criticize, and be realistic with what you can use right now. Test it for a week, see how it works out in your life. When you're ready with the feedback that you have, with the insights you have, start for a month, or you said maybe 10 days. I would say start for, let's say, 3 weeks to find a common ground between your approach and my approach. Maybe for 3 weeks, see how it's working for you. If it's going well, at 10 to 15%. Reward yourself after successful cycle. That can be 3-week cycle, 1-month cycle. Reward yourself, never skip that. Become a person that absolutely hates quick fixes. Just skip them, ignore them, see through them. It's like, that's crap, that's not for me. I'm a different person. You can't sell me that rubbish. I'm not falling for that ever again. And most importantly, persist and endure the cycle of change that will bring unpleasant emotions. And that's why we human beings, that's why we say that good things are difficult. Difficult encompasses essentially those unpleasant emotions of fear, loneliness, of sometimes desperation, doubt, guilt that we tend to feel when we're changing. So it's completely normal. You will feel those emotions, maybe not all of them, but some of them you will feel, and just accept it. It's okay. Learn from them, because every emotion has within itself energy that you can use for good, for bad, for the things you try, for the things you want, and just open that emotion, use that energy that's within it, and invest it into those activities that will lead to a long-term improvement of your life, achievement of your goal and New Year's resolution.
So, without telling me now, have you New Year's resolutions?
Yes, I do, of course. I have. I mean, I wouldn't say New Year's resolution, because that thing doesn't mean a thing to me.
You have plans and goals that will take place throughout the new year, but the 1st of January is no orchestrated deadline in your head of when something's going to begin. You moved to Norway in November, you've been setting up a new routine, you've set your goals, you began to align yourself in a life that's going to suit you a bit better, and you're planning just to continue on with that momentum into the new year.
Yes.
And it just so happens to fall over the period of January the 1st.
Yeah, but I'm extremely realistic. If I am to be brutally honest, I would like to spend every day of 2021 learning Norwegian for an hour a day and reading and researching for an hour a day, beside my workouts and stuff like that. But I can't know for sure will I be able to pull it off, because many things can happen.
Are gyms open over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last thing I want is to lie to myself. I don't want to do that. So instead of taking a different approach, I'm just spending as much time as I can now on planning, analyzing. Primarily, I'm focused now on getting a job at the psychiatric warden, so I can have this kind of we call it in Norway, kind of government-based job. So it's kind of a stable job, and obviously with a lot of career opportunities. So if there is a goal, not a New Year's resolution, that's just a goal that will happen eventually.
Yeah.
With me doing enough things consistently and persistently, this goal will manifest itself into reality.
Have you had an interview for that job yet?
I just finished my CV today and my cover letter, so I have 2 more days.
You haven't applied for it yet?
No, I haven't applied it yet because I had to do a bit of preparation before I can apply. So this is kind of my approach as well. I have a goals as well. Well, that's not a goal. It's just a different self-image that I maybe had in 2020s to keep my body as an institution of health. So as Jim Rohn would say, take good care of your body is the only place where you live. So yeah, and that's kind of one of my main focuses. I wouldn't say goal because goal usually has a beginning and the end. This process I don't want ever to end as long as I live.
And for people who want to have a goal, they want to have a purpose, they want to have a focus, and New Year's is just a convenient way of them saying, right, now this is when I'm going to start, and I'm actually going to start this year, and they have all the genuine motivation there. What would you perceive as worthy goals?
If you're going to start January 1st, start your planning phase on January 1st.
But what sort of goals do you think are good to have? Would you encourage people to take seriously? Now, health is an obvious one, and that's why it's up there. It's one of the highest frequency of New Year's resolutions. As I said, no smoking followed and less drinking. Again, they're all health related. Weight, drinking, smoking, 3 of the biggest resolutions. I think mental health, working on the mental health. I think like some studies show that's about 5% of all resolutions are dedicated to improving mental health, and then there's another smaller percentage again is improving relationships with other people and etc. and social skills. Obviously, I imagine some people have more personal goals, resolutions, such as people in sales probably are like, I'm going to hit these targets all throughout the first 6 months, and by the end of by June, I want to have my house built. Or everyone's got their own personal, more nuanced goals, but on an objective standard, what would you encourage? What do you think everyone could work on?
Oh, it's a tricky question to answer. I would say first go for your health. First, train yourself to eat healthy, nutrient-dense meals every day, because healthy body will enable you to accomplish literally any goal you want. We don't say for nothing, but what's the quote that healthy man has 100 wishes and the sick man has only one? Something like that in English as well.
I like that.
When you're healthy, you have hundreds of goals, and the sick man or a woman only has one goal, to be healthy. Because once you have your health, you can do anything. If you're already a healthy person, if you're already eating healthy and working out, maybe you can plan your career goals, maybe to focus on your career, figuring out what you're passionate about, doing something that's you're passionate about, something that you're good at, and something that's needed in the marketplace, and figure out how to position yourself in the marketplace. You can get your dream job, and you can produce and give back to the society, and also have a nice, abundant lifestyle. That can be a worthwhile goal. If you have that as well, maybe you can focus in a relationship. If you have that, then you're a lucky man. Then I envy you if you have all those 3 things. But kind of position it like the hierarchy. So build a strong foundation and build everything on top of that. So make sure you have health, make sure you have enough money to support yourself, that you're not overstressed at your work. Once you have that, then I don't know, maybe what's going to be the next step for you. You have to decide on that. If you're not sure, just go through that phase again. Dream, criticize, get the feedback, start implementing and testing. And whatever happens, it's a formula that will give you probably your unique results, something that's best tailor-made for your life. And this I don't have the magic ball. I can't know what's good for you. Even if I did know, I wouldn't be so brave and audacious to say that, because I don't know. I can't be 100% true if I'm not 100%. If I don't know it 100%, I wouldn't be willing to give you any kind of advice. But this is kind of a formula that you can use in your life, and whatever comes out of it, take it and see how it works for you.
Bran, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on and for giving those thoughts. It's very relevant at the minute, and I appreciate you for taking out time in your busy schedule.
Always. Thanks for inviting me, and hopefully see you soon and talk to you soon.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.